All right, and welcome to week 2 of the playoffs. My name is Dave Jones. I'm going to be your host for Betting from Home. This week, we have a very exciting playoff round. Week 2. Week 2 is going to be, I think, probably the most competitive week of the playoffs, and it's because of the matchups. So this week we're going to have this week in week 2 we're going to have 4 games this week. We're going to have the Los Angeles Rams versus the Green Bay Packers, the Baltimore Ravens at the Buffalo Bills, Cleveland Browns at Kansas City Chiefs, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be playing the Saints, which should be a really good matchup between two of the all-time great quarterbacks, Tom Brady's and Drew Brees. So going into week 2, I think we got to look more closer at a heavy defensive. I think we got to take a closer look at which teams are coming out strong on defense. Last week we saw the Rams play very well and just totally control the game versus the Tennessee Titans. And we really weren't expecting the Rams defense to handle them like just straight up and totally win that game. So let's get started on how I think this game is going to go. First off, Jared Goff will be starting this week versus the Green Bay Packers. As we know, Aaron Rodgers is one of the great quarterbacks in the league. Is at least one of the top 5 quarterbacks. And is probably going to give Kansas City's Patrick Mahomes the best runs for his money, as long as he could somehow get past. As long as he can somehow get past the Los Angeles Rams defense, which held Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks to just 20 points. And I was really expecting Russell Wilson, who is a mobile quarterback and also having a total fire year this year. Aaron Rodgers, of course, is also having a really great year. He does kind of have more of a surrounded. He is kind of surrounded with some greater talent than Russell Wilson as far as total overall talent with like running back Aaron Jones, Valdez-Scantling is really showing up to be a really good asset for Aaron Rodgers, going out there grabbing the deep ball, and Jake Kumaro comes in on good plays, and then kind of shocks you every once in a while with how good he can be. The Green Bay defense is solid, but I don't feel is as solid as the Rams defense. Defensively, the Rams come in at first in total yards. They're first in passing yards, They're third in rushing yards. They're first in points allowed, and third in third down efficiency. So that's top 3 in all like the top categories where we kind of rank our defenses. Green Bay's defense has come in 8th in total yards, 7th in passing yards, 13th in rushing yards, 13th in points allowed, and 10th in third down efficiency, which is really good, especially for like the regular season. But is that going to be a championship style defense, which is kind of the question. So where is Green Bay actually going to come up with points this week? And that's going to be kind of the question they were going on. Obviously, you have Aaron Rodgers, and you had to have decent wide receivers. You're coming up, you're coming up with the weapons to kind of put on some good points. But I really don't think Green Bay is going to come up with any more than like somewhere around 25, 27 points this week. They're definitely not going to put on a big 40 or anything like that. And who knows, they might only like put up 24, 21 points. Will it be a complete shutout? No, that'd be kind of shocking. And after all this year, Aaron Rodgers has had 48 touchdowns to just 5 interceptions, so he's finding a way to score, and that is something he does. He finds a way to get the ball into his playmaker's hands, and he's also a champion at like the hard count and finding those free plays. It's like every single week I watch him, it's waiting for him to get a free play, a Hail Mary pass down the field, and really figuring out a way to score every point possible. Going up against the Rams, Jared Goff, 20 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. He is coming off of a thumb injury, but it didn't hold him back too much last week versus Seattle. Let's see. He came in last week because the backup quarterback got injured early on. He went for 9 for 19, 155 yards and a touchdown. Now, that is pretty efficient. It kind of shows that his thumb wasn't bothering him too much. So, I think you're still going to get a pretty strong game out of him. So, kind of looking at where this game is going to play off, it is said to be kind of a bad weather game in Green Bay, and a lot of people think that it can be an advantage, especially versus a fair weather team in the LA Rams. So Saturday, it is going to be a chilly day with a high of 35, and it's also going to be snowing. It has a good chance of also being snowing, so that kind of might turn it into a running game. So I would almost picture this being a low-scoring running game. So Aaron Jones is definitely a formidable running back. He's got 1,104 yards this year and 9 touchdowns. He also hasn't fumbled the ball at all. We have Cam Akers on Los Angeles Rams, 625 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 fumble. Rushing. So if we look at the offense, the Rams are 15th in total yards, 13th in passing yards, 10th in rushing yards, 22nd in points scored overall, and 12th in third down efficiency. Green Bay is coming in at 5th total yards, 9th in passing yards, 8th in rushing yards, 1st in total points overall, and 2nd in third down efficiency. So it kind of reflects where is this game going. Obviously, the Packers are going to want to try passing the ball, but bad weather is going to slow them down. So I'd be looking for a low-scoring game, and that's actually where the sports books are looking at. They're giving it a 45.5 total for this game. The Rams are favorited by 6.5. I think my bet is going to go surprisingly with the under. It might just barely squeak past that over, but I think it's going to go with the under. And I would definitely take the Rams plus in at 6.5 in a low-scoring game. Beating the spread in a low-scoring game, I feel like there's always a better chance because if there aren't a lot of points scored, then keeping a game close within 6.5 points is not that tough of a challenge. It's actually kind of a high spread for a low-scoring game in my mind. And a lot of people, I think, are for some reason counting the Rams out. And at this point, I don't really see why. I think they're going to put up a good effort, especially if Jared Goff plays well. So, and I kind of feel like that you could almost take the LA Rams to win this game. But I think if you're being smart, I think you should just take the Rams plus 6. If you're feeling lucky, pick the Rams to win. And that's kind of where this game is going. I think it's a spread game. I think you take the Rams plus 6.5, and you'd be kind of lucky to find this at 7. If you had plus 7, I would definitely take that. If you squeezed it all the way down to plus just 6 or plus 5, then I would take maybe the Packers minus 5. I don't think the line's going to move that much, though, so just be aware of that. But in a low-scoring, cold-weather game, take the Rams plus 6.5. Game 2 on Saturday is going to be the Baltimore Ravens versus the Buffalo Bills. Currently, the Baltimore Ravens are the underdog at plus 2.5 points. That's really it. Keep in mind, I almost feel it's silly to take a spread on a spread that's within 2.5 points. If it was at 3, see, a team could win by 3 and you still win your game. So if you take Baltimore plus 3, I think you're going to be looking really good there. Once again, we are looking at a game where we have to stop Lamar Jackson from running all over the place. And I just want to kind of make my point with Lamar Jackson last week. I'm going to pull up some numbers here for you. Lamar Jackson last week versus the Tennessee Titans, and the Titans actually came in last week with not the best defense of all. Lamar Jackson's passing was 17 for 24, 179 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Which overall isn't too bad, but if you're looking at an elite quarterback, you need him to score points, especially in a playoff game. They only won that game 20-13, which is surprisingly low with two teams that we thought would come in with like a powerhouse offense. But then if you look at Lamar Jackson's rushing game, he rushed 16 carries for 136 yards and a touchdown. So he was able to score a touchdown with his feet, which is something that I've been kind of preaching to all year. Is you kind of have to just stop Lamar Jackson from running the ball, and it's something that teams really just need to look at and force him to throw the ball. So the Buffalo Bills, let's take a look at what their strengths and weaknesses are. So something to keep in mind here, Buffalo Bills are only 17th when it comes to defense on stopping the rush. So Lamar Jackson should have a pretty good open lane here, especially when a quarterback is good at running off of center. It's not like stopping a regular rush. It's like all of a sudden, he's backing up, looking for something open, and if the defense is playing kind of soft at front, all of a sudden he's going to sprint off for 10 to 20 yards. And he's quick, he's agile, and stopping him has been trouble for people all year, or for teams all year. Passing defense, the Bills are only 13th in passing defense. So Lamar Jackson might also find a way to throw the ball around a little bit. Moving on to Buffalo Bills, though, it's all about the offense. It's all about Josh Allen, who has 37 touchdowns and 10 interceptions this year, and he's really lighting up the scoreboard and kind of shocking people for kind of a younger quarterback, but he's coming out really good this year and showed people what he's all about. Baltimore, who does have the better defense, is 6th in league versus the pass. So Josh Allen will have his hands full with this Baltimore secondary. They've really been coming up strong this year. I can see why the books made this a close game, but I have a feeling it's going to turn out to be kind of a higher scoring game. Right now, the total for the game is 49.5, which is a good. Yeah, it's a good medium total score, and I think the bookkeepers are thinking that Baltimore is going to score a couple of rushing touchdowns. This is going to be somewhere around a 24 to 21 point game. I really like Baltimore to cover the 2.5 points, or to beat the 2.5 point spread. So taking Baltimore plus the 2.5 is kind of an easy bet. But honestly, if you're taking them plus 2.5, you should just kind of pick them to win. And also going with the theme of defense this week, I think Baltimore's defense is going to turn on during the playoffs and kind of shock people on how good they're going to be. I was actually kind of surprised to see them the underdog this week. I kind of get it that the Bills are coming up big in the offensive game. However, I think Baltimore Ravens are going to show up and really give us something to look at, and do really good. I think Stephon Diggs was a huge pickup this year. He's probably likely to get a touchdown. So this week, let's take a look at Baltimore winning by, taking plus the points. I think this is going to be a 27-21 game, 24-21, somewhere in that realm, 27-24. So take I would take The under, but just barely. I would kind of stay away from the total points on this game. I'm kind of leaning towards the under because I am kind of picturing being a defensive game, and the Bills might have like a flatline game here, especially if you do stop them on the pass. The Bills. The Bills have a pretty good rushing game. They're third overall in rushing. Uh, Devin Singletary. He's averaging 4.4 yards a game. He has 2 touchdowns this year. Um, Devin Singletary is kind of a new running back. He's young. He's only 23 years old. Was he? So this game, I'm kind of definitely looking at being kind of a defensive game. Um, I would definitely go. I'm definitely leaning towards the under. For some reason, I feel like that Baltimore is just gonna handle the Bills and kind of make them look sloppy this game. Uh, so I'm taking the Baltimore to win and the under for the total of the game, under 51.5 points. I kind of wish that the total for the game would squeak up a little higher, right around 52 or 53. But that's why the bookkeepers are bookkeepers. They know what we're looking for. Keep that in mind when you're making these bets. Look at what the bookkeepers are thinking and bet around that. I think that's really good advice. Um, Moving on to Sunday's game, I'm excited about the Browns versus Kansas City Chiefs. A lot of people are going to just immediately count the Browns out in this game. I wouldn't look so fast. I mean, I wouldn't overlook them. I wouldn't overlook the Browns so fast. They have really shown themselves some dominance lately, and coming up and beating Pittsburgh last week in a dominant fashion where they just didn't give up. They just keep trying. Like I kind of said last week, it's one of those things. I feel like the Browns really want to show us that something good and something special is going to happen. Saying that the Browns are going to win this game, though, is kind of like a hot take where a lot of people are going to kind of be afraid to go that way and take that route. But look, Baker Mayfield is 26 touchdowns for only 8 interceptions. Now, I know that Patrick Mahomes has 38 touchdowns. Has 38 touchdowns for for only 6 interceptions. Look, Patrick Mahomes is clearly the better quarterback. But when I go down to the defensive numbers for this game, I find that I find that Kansas City doesn't shock me. You know, like you kind of think to yourself, oh well, if Kansas City's going to be the returning champion, they must have a really good defense. But when I look at it, Kansas City's defense is 15th in total yards, 14th in passing, 21st in rushing, 10th in total points, and 17th in third down efficiency. And the big matchup here is going to be Cleveland Browns running game. They have Kareem Hunt and they have Nick Chubb. I'm telling you, watch Cleveland rush in 3 touchdowns. I would personally put the over-under for rushing touchdowns for the Browns this week to be 3.5. So I don't think that the Browns are going to find all that much trouble scoring. And then if they're rushing the ball really well, that's going to open up their passing game. And with the Kansas City Chiefs being 14th, that's barely in the top half of the league. Being 14th this year in passing yards, watch Baker Mayfield throw a pretty good game this week. So don't count the Browns out. It might turn into a shootout. Now, the Browns defense, here's why I think I think the Browns need to come up big on their own passing defense. They're 22nd. However, they're 9th on rushing. So this game is going to be all on Patrick Mahomes, which he's used to it. He's done this. Don't get me wrong. And he is young. And he has really good weapon in Tyreek Hill. But if you could kind of contain Tyreek Hill, watch the Browns at least make this game interesting. Currently, the spread is plus 10 on the Browns. And that is a huge spread, especially for a playoff game. I'm definitely taking the Browns plus 10. And I might just take them to win. That's kind of doing a bold pick. Currently, the books have this game at a 57 total. I think this is one of those games where both teams score at least 30 points. I would put it in the 60s. I think this is going to be like a 35-30 game. The Browns definitely keep them within 10. And it's going in the over. I'm taking the Browns plus 10 with the over. And I think you'll walk away happy with that. I really, truly do. Kansas City might win this game. And I think Patrick Mahomes has a flair for winning games right at the end. So my personal line for this game would be somewhere around like plus 6. So the fact that they're giving them plus 10, I think that's crazy. So this is going to be a fun game to watch. It's going to be a fun game to bet on. And watch out. The Browns might win. If the Browns win this game, I predict they win. I predict they win the championship game. That's my prediction right now. So let's just go with that as well. Moving on down to Tampa Bay and New Orleans. This game has a potential to be an awesome game. It also has potential to be a really sluggish game. And that is because, once again, it's going to be a high defensive game. Now, the defense just might completely fall apart on both sides. You do have Drew Brees versus Tom Brady. That's awesome. And if it turns into a slugfest game, I am giving the advantage to Tom Brady. I think Drew Brees isn't handling the aging process as well as Tom Brady. I haven't heard anything all year like Tom Brady. He can't throw his deep ball. He can't throw a fastball. I've heard that a little bit about Drew Brees. He's having trouble throwing a deep ball lately, but he is super accurate. He's super football smart, just like Tom Brady. Which then brings you down to the running game. Alvin Kamara is a beast. He is a force to reckon with. He's not just a runner. He's a wide receiver. He's running. He has 187 carries for 932 yards, which is kind of low, but he has 16 touchdowns, which is something to definitely pay attention to. Ronald Jones, 192 carries, 978 yards, and only 7 touchdowns. Also, Alvin Kamara has not fumbled the ball this year. So, offensively, we have the Bucs at 11th in total yards, 2nd in passing yards, 28th in rushing yards, 3rd in points overall, and 11th in third down efficiency. In comparison, total yards for the Saints is 13, passing yards 19th, rushing yards 6th, points 5th, third down 8th. Excuse me. So both teams are averaging right around 30 points a game. So you would immediately think, oh, let's go over this game is going to be a shootout. I would say not so fast. The Saints are 5th in passing yard on defense. Tampa Bay Bucs are 21st, which actually might swing the advantage to Drew Brees. And keep in mind, Drew Brees has not had Michael Thomas the entire year. He was injured in the beginning of the year, and he came back like week 9, and then he injured himself and came back like week 11. And Michael Thomas is in this game. He's healthy. Alvin Kamara is in this game. He's healthy. Honestly, as far as the winner goes in this game, I'm picking the Saints over the Bucs. And the spread is at 3, just a 3-point spread. Watch out taking the Saints -3. The field goal win is now off the book, so I would almost avoid the spread because of the -3. Unless if you think the Saints are just going to totally destroy the Bucs. It'd be hard for me to say destroy. I would take the Saints -3 because I think they are going to win by that much. But I don't like it because if they do win by just a field goal, then you have a draw. So take the Saints straight up to win. And let's go over the 51.5 points. I think one of these teams is going to get like 30 points. And honestly, I think this is going to be like a 30-21 game, which I know puts you right at that 51. So it might squeak on the under. I don't think it's going to fly towards the over. So the total for this game is kind of a stay away. Anything with these 51, that 50-point over under total is scary. That is like the sign of like the bookkeepers are just, they know points are going to be right in that like 28, 21, 30, 22-24. It's like a typical scoring game. I always hate the over-under on at right at 51. So you could bounce back and forth right at it. I might have originally said go with the over. See, I want to go back and forth. Take the over, take the under. Take the over, take the under. Stay away from that. Take the Saints to win it. I think they win it by at least 3. They're probably going to win by around 5 is what I'm looking at. And if you really want the over-under, I'm going to make my choice right now. Take the under. Watch it be a heavy defensive game, and both teams, it's going to be like 24-21, and both teams kind of stink it up on offense, which is very possible because we're going out, we're expecting Tom Brady, we're expecting Drew Brees. Watch it turn into a low shootout game, like maybe the highest, like 27-21, which would put you, I believe, right at the under of like 48. So let's take the under. Let's take the Saints. And I think that'll just about wrap it up this week. I think it's been a really fun week. My name is Dave Jones. You can find me at myhomebet.com. Tweet me at betting_home87. You can download my podcast, Betting from Home, on any of your favorite podcast websites. We do YouTube, which I call the Raw Edit. This week it's me sitting upstairs. I usually sit down in the freezing cold basement, but this week we did upstairs. And you could watch me record this, which is actually YouTube, surprisingly, is showing me the most amount of traction, which is kind of fun. Maybe you like watching me do this. I don't think it's all that exciting, but if you like it, go for it. Anyways, Dave Jones, Betting from Home. Good night and good luck. Hopefully we win some money.